Howdy folks, today we have a video tripod to look at. This is the SmallRig Potato Jet TRIBEX tripod. To be honest, I didn't know about this product. When I was traveling in Africa, I asked my assistant Aaron what products have come out recently that you think are cool that we should get in to test out. This was on his list, so we got it in, and whilst today I'm basically going to be talking you through it, we'll splice in some different B-roll of shooting with it. We've been using it for a couple of weeks now, and I know this is made in collaboration with a YouTuber. I'm gonna take the approach of kind of not thinking about that. I don't watch his channel, so I don't have a dog in the fight, but it doesn't add value for me essentially. So I'm basically gonna be looking at how does it function versus other similar tripods, what else you might be considering, and crucially, it has what on paper seems like a really cool system that's a first. How effective is that, and some reality checks that we found over our time with it. Now, in terms of compression ratio and that kind of thing, when you're looking at tripods, you're pretty much always dealing with how small can it pack down, how big can it pack up, how stable is it, and how expensive is it, and to an extent, how heavy it is. So if you want something that packs down really small, it's going to have lots of leg segments. If you want it to go really tall, there's going to be lots and lots of small leg segments, so there's more points for failure. Each of the different joints is a place that is going to add weight, and if you're going to keep it light and rigid, it means carbon fiber. If you want it to be heavy and rigid, it's going to be wood, and then it's going to be super heavy. In this case, I would say, given its size, it's pretty heavy. It reminds me of the what's that brand? Is it iCobra that make a similar design of monopod that has a quick release system? The system itself adds a lot of weight. So that's not a big deal if you're working on a production. You get here and then you set it up and then you're not carrying it all the time. So that's not really a big deal. And to be honest, if you're using big equipment, having some heft to the tripod is a good thing. But one thing I would keep in mind with this guy, a lot of that weight is coming from the new system. If you were just comparing it to a tripod that was a similar size and had a similar weight capacity of this one, which is only around 13 pounds, then this is relatively heavy and relatively very expensive. When you're looking at this guy at like $799, this puts it at the very most expensive in the SmallRig range, and you're actually up there comparing it to things like Manfrotto at that price point. Comparing this to some of the other SmallRig options that are more similar, if you take out the special features of this one, that are similar in terms of specification for weight and payload and size, they're more like $250, $300, maximum $400. And if you're going to something that's this price, you're talking super heavy duty professional tripod from SmallRig. So you're really paying a lot for this system. So you're gonna have to value that. Before we get into all of that, I would point out about the load capacity of this. Now, I know a lot of people probably, I think, what did you say that this guy films with? It was something, is it a Red or something? Or Arri? Some pro system. Essentially, whilst a lot of the potential users for this might be using mirrorless or DSLRs, and in that case, you're easily sticking to 2, 3, or 4 kilograms of weight, and you're within the 13 pounds load capacity of this setup, the Blackmagic 12K and the Lauer 25 to 100, without the handle, without the rig, this is already about 11 or 12 pounds. So once you add the handle, add the SSD pack, add a battery on, add a monitor on, you're beyond the capacity of this one. And something to keep in mind on this one, when we had it mounted on the furthest most point forward, admittedly, you can put a mount on the lens because this is a heavy lens. This, it's not strong enough to hold it. I can't lock this down anymore. The only way I can balance this out is actually by sliding it so a third or a half of the plate is off the back of the tripod, and then it's able to balance itself out. So just be aware, as photographers, we're often using, say, a 1 to 2.5 kilo kit, but our tripods are actually rated to like 12, 15, 20 kilos, so you're nowhere near the limit. On video tripods, when you actually want to be able to bring in that smooth movement, it's the weight capacity of the legs and of all the head parts that really come into play, because you want to be able to do this nice and smoothly It's not like doing a long exposure where you essentially just want to be able to lock it down and not have any movement. Here, you want to be able to have controlled movement. So just think about if that weight capacity is really going to work for you. Now, before we get on to accessories and the other features of this guy, we have to talk a little bit about the party trick of this. Essentially, you have this handle here, which one can tuck away, but when you pull it out, when you grip this, these leg segments unlock, and then it makes it, in theory, much quicker to move it around. So if I have no camera, well, first let me just show you as I set it up. I pull that handle out, push it down, and then thump, the legs just fall down into place. So really quick setup. Let me do that for you in real time. Take this gigantic camera off. Now, one thing to keep in mind, because they're on an angle right now, putting it down isn't that quick. If I just do this, it's kind of this weird dance because the feet need to shuffle in for it to go in. So the fastest way my assistant found was to actually turn it upside down, and then boom, you've got your legs. But you see that? It wasn't locked out. That's what I was going to get to, but that was not staged. So this handle doesn't always lock out. So I'll do that again. Turn it up. We got the handle here. I let it all down, let go of the handle. Well, that time it kind of did. But so from here to put it up is nice and simple. You've gotten it out of the bag, hold the handle, and then I found, see there was like an inch where they went back down. I had other times where there was a couple of inches where like that. I guess it's not hydraulics, but something like that. And that it takes a second for the handle to creep its way out. After you've gripped it, it takes a while, and it's somewhere in that last section that it's finally taken full grip. So again, sometimes when I did that, I found that some of the legs grabbed at different times. So actually one of the three legs was a bit shorter than the others. So when I put it out straight from the get-go, it wasn't perfectly level. Now, yes, this is where the advantage comes in. If you have no camera on, and let's say I notice that the ground's a bit not level, I've got level on the top of the legs, level on the head, I can grip this and then just lean it a bit that way, and boom, that's arguably easier than a traditional system where I undo one leg. Or once I put it back up again, see, more give there. If I really want to move my shooting position, and let's say I want to put it so one leg is on here. So here I can grip this and then put it on here and then look at my levels until it all looks level, and then boom, that's not bad, right? It gets the reality, see, and again, still some give there. So you really need to lift it, let it hold there for a second or two, and then it's locked out. That's fine when the tripod's empty. What about when we have our 13 or 15 pound camera on top, or even just your DSLR and a big lens? We pop this guy on, and as we discovered, I need it a little bit further back than normal so that it's within its weight capacity. Now to actually do this, I really don't know if that's less cumbersome than just doing one leg lock, because when I do that, all three of them are in free flow, not just that one. So when I do this, yes, if it's this height and I'm able to lift the camera up with no monitor or anything else flapping around right now, that's fine. But if this were a traditional tripod, I would just unlock this one and these two would remain locked. So I know that they're at the height I currently have for my shot, and then I would move it here, have that one unlocked, and move everything into position. The thing I think that we really have to draw out here is that system, and the fact that if I need to hold the weight until it's fully given, that's kind of an issue. Or like if I want to get it down just a bit, then here I need to hold it at exactly this height until that handle fully pulls out to know that it's going to be locked out. Because if I am doing it like this, get it to the height I want, and then just let go, it wasn't locked out. Let go, kind of, but not level. Now, on the point of comparative value, I will pop some links below where you can see this versus some other SmallRigs and some Manfrottos and other ones as a spec comparison, so you can see kind of what you're getting for your money. One unfortunate thing, this one at the time of recording, for some reason, and a lot of SmallRig products don't have a complete spec list showing. So you can't put it in a comparison table, for example, on B&H Photo. But I'll still link out and show you kind of an idea of what you get for around $300, which is what I think this would be worth without the quick release system, and what you get for about this money from different brands. So look, a few more thoughts. The bag that it comes with is quite nice. It's got dual zipper access and a little compartment in there. Nothing out of the ordinary, but it's nice. There are a lot of features on this that I like. I actually quite like the way the center column works, that you can lock it, but then to unlock it, you need to pull it out to move it around. This will go quite low with its legs, but I would say it seems really not sturdy on both of the ultra wide settings. It's really this one that feels quite steady. Another point on the grip, how I was saying that it doesn't fully lock out. I think there's more to it than that. It's actually my instinct to squeeze it all the way in. And then yes, it does take some time to creep its way out and fully lock back out. But actually you don't need to do that. You can just give it the tiniest little squeeze and the legs will let go, and then when you let go, it actually locks out quickly, which means it's kind of actually a hair trigger, something we found when we were carrying it by this when it wasn't in use, and found that even when you have this locked away, this is still an active trigger. So you actually need to make sure that you lock that down, and then you can use it as a handle or whatever, and it won't be adjusting the legs. So look, the feet are quite good as well. It's got a nice little system to expose the two prongs depending on what terrain you're shooting in. I'm in mixed minds about this. I do love seeing new innovations in fields that have remained stagnant for so long, so I think it's pretty cool to have this system. But I think you really need to think about what you're shooting and how much you think that feature is going to add to your workflow. I think in pack-up time, it makes a big difference to be able to do that. I think I think in setup time, it doesn't add that much, because for example, when I'm doing, as an old-fashioned guy using my twist lock legs or my lockdown legs, let's say it has 3 leg segments. I undo the bottom 2 on each of the legs and lock them out at maximum length. And then say the next one, I just do it at hand's width or whatever it may be. I lock them out, and it's fairly easy to know that all 3 are going to be at the right height. And therefore, if it's level terrain, level. On this, it's not really, because if I want it at maximum height, then yes, I can do that and know that it's going to be locked out. But if I want to, from when it's down low, just bring it up to this height, I have no idea if each of the legs is level. I can look at it and then make the adjustments and then, okay, that looks level. But again, I need to be bearing the weight of the whole camera as I do that, if I actually have a camera on it. So I'm personally, for my work, I don't think that the system adds that much value. And that's the ultimate question. How much value would it add to your workflow? Because I would say you're paying for it in 2 ways. One, it's adding weight. If you just looked at this tripod without that system, it would be significantly lighter. Or if it were this weight, it would be significantly more stable and have a bigger load capacity. And I would say this system, if you take out the celebrity factor, if you're just looking at tripod to tripod, I would say this system is adding $500 US to the price, because a comparable tripod without this from SmallRig is $250 to $300. This is $800. So is that convenience and that cool new feature worth $500 to you? If so, go for it. Just make sure you're not using a camera that's up around its weight limit or front heavy, because you might find that you exceed the tripod's capability. Let me know your thoughts on this or on any other products that you'd like to see us test out. I'll see you soon.